Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Build Your Best Life. Tonight's podcast is Blueprint for Success. I want to welcome and thank each and every one of you who will tune in with us tonight. Thank you for being with us. Make sure you give this live some hearts, thumbs up. Make sure you also share with family and friends who have young men in the home, because this platform is all about building up young men from middle school through high school, going into college and off into adulthood. We need to do what we can as a community, as parents, as single mothers, as fathers, mentors, to keep them on the right path. Sometimes we have to help them get back on the right path, right? So this is what this platform is all about. Our CEO, Coach Deborah D. Smith, has a heart and a passion to make sure that young men have the support to steer them in the right direction growing into adulthood, because they are our future. Absolutely. Well, we do have a special guest with us this evening, Mr. Sean Smith. Welcome. Thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you for having me once again. I am delighted to be here with you.
We're delighted to have you. This is the first time that we're sharing this space together. I know I've seen you on the podcast in the past, but I don't know much about you. So I want you to share with the audience as well more about who you are, where you're from, and what expertise and nuggets you bring to the platform for our topic today.
Sean Smith, born and raised in Nassau, Bahamas, over the hill, as Bahamians would say, in the Grandstown Farm Road area. I am a middle child of 10, 8 sisters and nine sisters and one brother. 8 sisters and one brother. Sorry, getting tongue twisted here. But I'm a entrepreneur. I have a small business here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, an entertainment business. I am married with no kids, but my nieces and nephews, they take the place of kids, and they take all of myself and my wife's money.
They're blessed nieces and nephews, I would say. Well, that sounds pretty awesome. You have a lot of experience growing up in the household with nine siblings. And I'm the middle child as well. So I know a lot about what that life and that position, that role, what comes along with that territory.
Oh
And
yeah.
we are thrilled to have you with us. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to say hello to our viewers who have tuned in with us already this evening. Good evening, Miss Katie Cradell. That is my mom. Thank you for being with us this evening. And hello to Coach Deborah D. Smith tuning in, hailing from Florida. And we have Mr. Henry Holmes. Thank you for tuning in with us this evening. We're grateful to have you here with us. And Miss Catherine Trotter, thank you and good evening to you as well. To our viewers, our topic tonight is going to be about things I wish someone told me as a young man. So before we jump right on in, I want to ask you again to make sure you give this live some hearts, thumbs up. We love to see your participation in the chat. It keeps us encouraged, keeps us going, knowing that we are on the right track, hitting home with you guys, our viewers who are tuned in, that you're getting something from this. Also, please share, share, share with families who have young men in the household, single moms who raising boys, because we need all the help we can get as a village all together. So make sure you share, and thank you again for being plugged in with us this evening. So Sean, I'm going to hop right on in so I can get some of this knowledge and nuggets from you that life experiences have taught you. So I have a few questions. We're going to start off by me asking, when you look back at your younger years, what is one thing you wish someone had told you about becoming a man?
I think the first thing I would have want to know is that you're not gonna get it right, but don't let that stop you. Keep working, keep pushing. As children, we're always trying to tell our children, don't do this and don't do that, and so sometimes that may come off as some kids will get a little timid from that, and they kind of shy away from doing stuff because everyone wants to be perfect. I think that's one of the things that I strive to do when I was growing up. I never wanted to be wrong. I always wanted to make sure I was doing stuff the right way. And in this journey called life, we're not going to get it right all the time. We will fail sometimes. But is not staying down, is keep on, getting back up and brushing yourself off and continue plowing the road and continue, trying to get to the next level. So that's one thing that I'd wish someone would have told me. I mean, I'm a little different. I'm a little special because being a middle child, it was always I'm in the middle of siblings, and I didn't fit into a clique. And having sisters, I was kind of like the oddball out because my sister, a little younger groups would be playing, and my older sisters, they'd be doing stuff, and I was, you know, in the middle. So I always wanted to do it right. So yeah.
I love that you said with that, because that is so important. And parents, we know that we mean well, but we don't always lead with we always lead. We usually lead with get it right, do your best, and go out there, give it your best shot. Not necessarily trying to paint the picture of you have to be perfect, or that perfection standpoint, but it usually comes after something has been mishandled, or you missed the target. Then we remind our sons that you're not going to always get it right, but it's important to give them that cushion and give them that reminder from the jump. And I love that you started with that, because that does take a lot of pressure off.
Yeah.
Children and young men, they want to please their moms, they want to please their dads, they want to please their friends. And so they are, sometimes performative and just trying to be perfect, trying, and that can lead to not telling the truth sometimes because you don't want to admit that you messed up, or it could just lead to so many things. So I really, really love that you led with that. That in itself was perfect. So what do you believe young men need most from their mothers, fathers, mentors, and other positive adults as they are growing up?
That's a good question because you need something you need something different from each person. For example, from your mothers, you need that comfort, that mother's love, that mother's intuition, that mother who's always going to be there, not just sometimes telling you what to do, but sometimes just praying for you. As a young adult, mothers and grandmothers' prayers over children are so important. In the Bahamas, we call it mother's wit. You know, uh, you might not be the smartest, but if you have mother's wit in terms of knowing what to say and when to say it and when not to say anything, you have two ears and one mouth. So
Right.
sometimes you need to be quiet. And that comes from your mom telling you, hey, sit down, be quiet over there. Sit, or we say in the Bahamas too, sit small until your name is called. You know, so definitely that comfort and just that mother's tenderness, that mother's love and care. Uh, and then from the fathers, we need discipline. Now, discipline is not a bad thing in the sense of you're being disciplined by your father, you're being sent to your room, or you're being spanked. No, discipline by uh, and sometimes is not verbal, but is something to do with action. We see our fathers. For me, I saw my father getting up early in the morning and working hard. I saw my father going to church and praising God, and so he was disciplined with that. So he poured that into me, and so I'm disciplined with certain things I do in terms of being on time, being punctual. I mean, being punctual is the same thing as being on time, but my word is my bond, and I got that from my father. If he say he's gonna do something for you, he's gonna do it, and no hell or high waters, it's gonna be done. And so that discipline, being able to walk away from certain stuff, you know, discipline. You have to have that discipline and start from small and start from instilling that stuff in kids at a young age. Because if you get that root when you grow up, it's gonna be there. No one can take it away. From your mentors and peers around you and people around you, you need honesty and truth. So sometimes we do stuff as kids or young adults, and with and especially in this new age of social media, where everyone is out there and you see all the glamour and the glitter, and everyone kind of sometimes they think that's a bed of rose, uh, but no, you need someone to say, hey, you know, it takes me back to when you watch the making of a movie, and they show the outtakes, and you look at that like, what happened to that? So you need people to be honest and truthful with you and say, hey, everything that glitters ain't gold. This mansion, I didn't get this overnight, or you're doing that wrong. Because sometimes our parents too, as parents, you see your kids on stage performing and they may have done something wrong, but you there cheering. You get backstage and your parents say, "Oh, you suck," you know. But hopefully, that from I'll tell you what I did for me when I was performing and I sucked and people told me I sucked. It helped me to work harder to be better. So you need people around you who's going to be truth tellers. If you're looking at in our sporting world, where you have young men at 19, 20 are now millionaires, and they go down the wrong road because everyone in their camp is yes, 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 and no one is saying nope, you can't do that, or this is a truth. So you need truth tellers around you, more so in your mentors and people around you.
So good. I'm glad you highlighted the fact that each person named here in this question, parents, mentors, mothers, fathers, and mentors and peers, they each could bring something to the table.
Yes.
And mothers do bring that comfort. We do,
Yeah.
bring that love. We're gonna pray for over our sons,
Hmm.
pray over the household, their well-being, and we're gonna give them that nurture. We're gonna give them that softness that every child needs, every young man needs.
Yeah.
Fathers, I'm glad you elaborated on what discipline looks like, not the discipline when they're correcting behavior, but that discipline as far as character
Yes.
and discipline in day-to-day behavior and the way they carry themselves and the things that they stay true to.
Yes.
Young men need to see that because it gives them a huge sense of identity. From what I've known in my experience and what I've seen in other young men whose fathers may be absent, um, they struggle in that sense of identity because they didn't have anyone show them anything that was consistent, that was
Yes.
real, that
Yeah.
was honorable on a consistent basis.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. I had that. I had that around me. You know, at home, at school, and at play. From church to civic organizations and to my neighborhood. I grew up in a rough neighborhood. However, the bad boys in my neighborhood, you could not have been doing something bad around them. Even though they were bad boys, they would stop you and say, no, don't let me have to go and tell your parents, you know.
right.
So so that definitely helped build character, discipline with that discipline around us.
Absolutely. They knew the stock that you were from.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's like, no, you out of place. Don't come around here trying to hang with us. You out of place. Don't let us see you do that because this is
Do that, you ain't coming with us. No, we ain't having it.
I love it. I love it. The whole community was looking out for you. I
The
loved it.
village.
The village. And you also shared on the mentors and our peers. We do need someone in our corner that's going to tell us the truth. Because sometimes, one group may not want to hurt your feelings, but, your peers and mentors, they're not as invested as maybe your mama. Your mama love you. She don't want to
Hmm.
break your heart and things like that. So she may not tell you the truth, or your very best friend may not tell you the truth, and could be um, not purposely, but leading you down the wrong path or allowing you to go down the wrong path because they
Yeah.
can't be truthful or ruin their relationship with you. But someone who is a mentor, who understands their role to be transparent, to be truthful, and to bring their wisdom and knowledge to the table and say, hey, I've walked many more miles than you have. And some things under the sun is not new. They're not
Yeah.
new.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to go down that path. So
And
be
if you love someone, you will always be truthful. Even though it may hurt. Hey, here's the truth.
yes.
Okay. And sometimes we might need a minute to kind of take it in and kind of absorb what was said.
Mhm.
But if I love you, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Hey, I'm gonna tell you the truth. If you're upset, I understand, but this is the truth. I rather tell you the truth rather than you go there and get hurt, from doing something that I could have been upfront and honest and be truthful with you about, and like I said, if I love you, I'm gonna tell you the truth.
That's
And truth is, you didn't do well.
look. You had to put that emphasis on it.
I, I,
But you
I
know
told
what?
you, I
Hey.
told you, I was raised with sisters, all right? And my sisters were cool. You're not coming behind me in that brown punch and that purple shirt. That don't match. You ain't going with me looking like that.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That took me down memory lane. Yeah. Yeah. I had someone check me like that in my
Yeah.
younghood, as I was getting comfortable and getting to know my Caribbean brothers and
Yeah.
sisters. This girl checked me because I wasn't dressed right. I was like, oh, and I was, she was right. She was right. Oh my God, that memory flashed to mind when you said that. But
She loves you.
we
She loves
need
you.
that. We need that. We need that.
Yeah, we do.
So, what mistakes do you see young men making today that could be avoided if they had the right guidance earlier in life?
It's an interesting question, and we can kind of go a number of different ways with it. But one of the things I think, kind of piggybacking off the last the from the question we just dealt with, I think young men today, some of the stuff they're not. One of the biggest things is they're not taking wise counsel. You know, many of us have gone down the same road that they're going through now, early in their life, and a mentor or a family member or brother or father pulling you aside and telling you, giving you wise counsel, and you're not taking advantage of it, it could be detrimental. And I'll give you some examples. For me, financially, as a young man, if you start saving and you start building wealth early, when you hit your 40s and 50s, you don't have to be working as hard. I see a lot of men and Caribbean men too. They're in their 70s and 80s and they're still out there working. You know, and other wiser men who were probably set up a little different. They're on the golf course playing golf.
Yep.
Same age, right? But they had wise counsel and they took wise counsel, and that can go for a lot of different things. But uh, just taking wise counsel, having someone that you can go to and say, "Hey, what do you think?" And not just asking, but actually, I can tell you, "Hey, this is how you can achieve wealth." For example, I can tell you, I can break it down and give you pie charts and graphs. But if you don't take that information that I give you and implement it into your life, it's like tingling brass and songing cymbal. It's not. It'll become nothing. So I
Right.
think one of the things that young men need to do really is to take wise counsel. If you look back at the past, and then if you're trying to chart a future, you have to go back to your past. And so if you look back at your parents and their parents, where are they financially? Where do I want to be financially? And then if you kind of ask them, where did you make your mistake? Why did you do this like this or this like that? And most of the times, if they tell you, and if you correct what they did in your life, it would be so much different. So take wise counsel. Uh, we don't want you to fall in the same holes and the pitfalls that we fell into. My dad pulled me aside, and I was about 21, 22, and he told me some stuff where he went wrong as a man. And so for me, wanting to be better and trying to be better, I took that, and I kind of trying to implement it in my life. So just taking wise counsel. And I'll say this too. We have a saying. And I love these sayings from Caribbean sayings or island sayings. You know, you can learn from a baby. You can learn from a baby. So someone younger can give you wise counsel. Someone old can give you wise counsel. Someone your same age can give you wise counsel. But a word to the wise is sufficient. When you heard that in our house, someone's gonna get beaten if because they ain't listen. They ain't listening. A word to the wise is sufficient. Now, if you're gonna do that same thing, you can get what's coming. That person gets done. So, wise counsel.
That's great. I'm glad. I like the fact that you connected that with financial growth, to financial security, to get ourselves set up. I'm in finances. I help families get their financial house set up. So it's very rewarding and gratifying when I speak to a young adult
Yes.
and they take action and they just start putting, just a little bit of money away. But they're in their mid 20s. Great, you're doing great. Just keep that up. It doesn't have to be a lot. And so it's just very rewarding when they take that information and they apply it to their lives. And so that I'm glad that you spoke on finances, because all of our young men and young women alike, we need to do better at taking advantage, because if they take heed to the wise counsel, and they look around, as you were stating, they see their grandparents working into their, late elder years, or if they're not working, finances is it's funny. The money is funny
Money
and,
is funny.
and limited to what they're able to do.
And I
And
can
so if you don't want that for yourself, you have to do something different. So take heed to wise counsel. I love that.
and finances can be such a it can be a detriment to everyone in terms of how people react to certain things because of their money being funny. You know, your money being funny, you know, causes you not to probably your health. You know, it can cost your health. You know, uh, your money being funny, are you not setting yourself up? Now you can't go to a good doctor. You might have to go to a small clinic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so, and it just kind of trickles down into everyday living, and it's just not one thing, but it's a plethora of things that can kind of go wrong if your money is funny.
So much. um and mentally, not just of course in our health, absolutely it does affect our health, but I don't think that many stop to really take inventory or to break down how our financial lives affects our mindset and our outlook and our attitudes about things. And as you stated, it touches every area of our lives and every area of our being. And I notice that money is the root of all evil, and money isn't everything. That's true, but try to live without it. And those who live without it versus those who grew up with it absolutely have a different mindset. Or those who did the right things to make sure that they're secure in the future. It just changes your attitude about and your outlook on life.
Oh, definitely,
So,
definitely.
how important is identity and self confidence for a young man? And what helped you discover who you were without allowing other people to define you?
Interesting question. This question, I kind of was pondering on when I got the questionnaire. I kind of looked at it, and this one kind of had me uh, kind of just kind of wrestling. Uh, I was growing up in a different system where I was raised in with a village. So for me, and of course, I'm a kind of linger around age group I'm in. Um, I'm in the same age as in the same age group as Coach Ricardo. So we didn't grow up with social media. You know, we didn't grow up with that spotlight. We didn't grow up with uh, everyone being able to see our every move. So our self image for us was just a little different. It's different nowadays because you can see what someone is doing in China, a common person is doing in China from social media, India. And so looking at social media, it kind of gives a false take, if I should say. So kids growing up now, I think it's a little more pressure for that self image. For me, self image image for me was rooted from my village, my parents. That's where it started out, and then two, being a middle child, I had that middle child syndrome where I didn't want to fail and I can do it. All right, you ain't gonna beat me. So that kind of propelled me to be a little different. My peers, none of them were all of us were always in competition, but it was always good competition. But it was always good because we were raised with a village. So if you knew we went off track, you had to go somewhere deep to go off track and hope no one see you going off track. So my self image was rooted early for me, uh, and me not wanting to fail kind of helped me with my image. And then two, uh, growing up in the islands, whenever someone meets you in the islands, they always ask you, "What's your name?" Sean Smith. Smith from where? Who's your people?
Yeah.
So, so a part of my own personal image was rooted from my family. I'm Sean Smith from Grantstown. Uh, You go to St. Agnes? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Uh, so what GMC is to you? It's my uncle. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Who is your, which one of those brothers is your daddy? So I couldn't hide.
Yeah.
That was a part of my image and who I am. Uh, but my image too was, you know, a music student in high school, a good kid, uh, a Boys Brigade. Boys Brigade was a organization that I went to that taught me leadership, taught me discipline, and kind of helped me in trying to navigate as a young man. Uh, as a 14, 15-year-old, as a lance corporal, uh, back in the day, you see, I have stripes. I'm a lance corporal. So a lance corporal and corporals, we ran our meetings on Tuesdays and Fridays. So from small, I was given leadership. I was given a leadership role, and so I think it's so important for young people today to kind of go within themselves. Whatever you do really, really well, kind of grab onto that and kind of start to sharpen that skill, whatever it is. If you're good in basketball, all right, grab onto that and start to sharpen that. And if you're good in business, grab onto that and start to sharpen that. uh, and then too, as you grow up, some things you might let go because that's probably what you wanted. I wanted to be a pilot, or a pilot and a fireman, even a priest. But I'm none of those. But I'm still successful. Now, I'm doing some of those stuff in my capacity as a business person, uh, and so you have to start small and sharpen those skills, and just kind of go from there.
That's important what you shared about the social media because when we are focusing on young men today, um, it could be it could go either way. So the social media thing, if a young man or young teenager doesn't haven't found their niche, and the adults, the parents, the mentors, the guardians aren't being intentional to try to shape them into something that they're interested in, or invest in the things that they show some interest in, to just get them on a path to focusing and honing in on something. They can just kind of drift off of what's going on in social media, and one year they're into this, they're one year they're into that, and that's a lot of noise in their head because social media is so flooded with different personalities, characters, genres, all these things. So the young man may not have the ability to settle within themselves and then step back and find what their niche is. And so they're just all over the place. And so I like the fact that you shared that, if you're into basketball, if you're into the arts, you know, just try to plug in and sharpen those skills. And I want to encourage the parents, the mothers, the fathers, to support your children in that way, and try not to let finances get in the way, because a lot of time parents don't do things because they feel they can't afford it.
Yeah.
You can't afford not to. That's what I want to
Yeah,
share.
and very important, social groups like Cubs and Scout, which the Boys Brigade is some is like that. Those organizations are really good, and church organizations as well, because there are people who will look at your child and say, this kid is special, and he or she may not have the means, but I'm gonna go ahead and step in. I'm gonna stand in the gap.
That's right.
Growing up for me, I had a priest who stood in the gap for many of students who their parents sent them to private school, and for whatever reason they couldn't pay a tuition this semester, and the priest stepped in and paid. You know, I am not where I'm at, but for people stepping in and helping me along the way. No one gets to where they are by themselves. And so
Absolutely.
there are people who will step in and help out. And sometimes you just need to say, I need help. If you say that, there's someone who possibly can step in and help. Now they may not give you 100%, but they might give you 30, and someone else can give you 50, and someone else will give you 10. So just be open to that. And for kids who don't have may not have parents to step in, aunt and uncle or cousin. Me being an only boy, my cousins, my male cousins, they grabbed me many days and kind of, hey, come on, me try to do this. So just tap into that family member or the village, whatever you have around you in terms of village, and it has to start from yourself wanting something better out of your life. And I think if you want something better in your life, no matter where you are, if you're in Highland Park or in Oak Cliff or in Beantown, uh, the sky's the limit. Once you decide that you wanna excel.
Great. That's perfect. That's perfect. I want to take a moment to give a shout out to our viewers again, those who may have tuned in with us after we got started this evening on the Blueprint for Success podcast. We are talking about things I wish someone told me as a young man. And we're getting the nuggets and the feedback from our special guest this evening, Mr. Sean Smith. And we are having a good time talking about things that young men should know, because he's speaking from his position what he wish he would have known. And so make sure you plug in, participate in the chat, and share this live with those who have young men in the household, or tag it, save it for your young man if he's a teenager and off in college, or maybe he's starting his early years as a young adult. These are things that are very important, and tools and nuggets that can carry them a long way. John, what should mothers understand about raising sons as they transition from boys into young men and begin wanting more independence? Speak to us that hold on.
Did, okay, I know this one is a little sensitive, it's a little touchy because for us as men, the first thing we say is let him go. Stop. I have a sister who has one child and a boy. He just turned 17, and I often tell, let him go. You smothering him, but that's a little cruel to say. I know, but that's just us as guys. We just kind of we want you to let him go, but I know it's more to that. It's more to letting go, uh, and it starts from small. And I use a word in that question: transition. Transition.
Yeah.
It's a transition, so it just doesn't come overnight. So you have to be intentional and start doing stuff from small. Uh, and so when that young man hits 17, 18, it's time for him for him to fly out the nest. He would be equipped with all the tools. And I know, in the background you're going to be crying and kind of, as a mom. All right, I'm going to kind of embarrass my mom here. So I I was with 21, 22, and I told my mom I'm going to move out. I got my own little apartment. I had a nice little job. And my mom stood and cried like a baby. You would have thought someone was dying. She
Wow.
cried like a baby, and it kind of hurt, but it's like, I'm gonna be all right. I'm just moving out of the house. I'm not dead. I'm not gone. But that's just a mom. Uh, I know it's difficult to transition, but you have to do it. If you've planted the right seeds in your kids and especially your boy kids, uh, they're gonna be all right. For me, talking about my experience, even though having all those sisters, I was taught how to cook. I was taught how to sew. I know, love ironing. I can clean house. I think better than some maids, but all of that was instilled in me by my mom and my sisters, because when I flew the nest, you know, I had all that taken care of. So I didn't need no one to come over. And sometimes, boys, and I might be straying off, but young men kind of They go off to college and they can't do that type of stuff, so they go and find themselves a girlfriend, or and they're going to get married, and it's like, but you're not ready for that. But they do that because they want someone to do those stuff that be for them. But so I would say once you plan proper skills into your boys, and cooking ain't just for girls. Cleaning ain't just for girls. Boys need to know how to do that as well. And once you do that, once you instill those good habits into your sons, and you can start weaning them off. And I know it's a process. It won't happen overnight. And sometimes you have to be able to say no, and then go in the room and cry. But you got to say no. Uh, but you have to wean them off, transition them off of always having mom there to fall back on, for those stuff that they depend on you to do. Uh, and so hopefully, we don't have to cut, the navel string. You're cutting that navel string. You know, I know it's difficult. I know it's difficult, but for us guys, we say it easy. Hey, just cut the string, cut it. But it's a process, and you have to start doing it from early. You know, and so when that child gets a certain age, that child know that, okay, I got this. You know, I got this, and mom will be proud to know. And moms always can be there crying or worrying or praying. That's all right, but don't you don't have to do it in front of your son, and kind of coddle him. And because so many kids, so many young men today, I think that's kind of where they're going wrong, because they still have mom, have them in the nest. you know they still have mom doing everything for them. They get, and relationships kind of fail because some parents, not just men, moms or dad too, some parents are coddling their kids who are now married. You got it's a transitional process. It's a process. And if you've done a good job, if you've done your job, when your child goes out on their own, the parents, you will be all right, because you know that you've done your part, you've done your best, and your kid is equipped to handle this journey called life. So start early, transitioning, your child off of those, uh, things that you do to baby them.
That was such a powerful response. And it's so profound because many parents don't think about how much they're hindering their children. Instead, I know some parents, and to some degree, I was the same way, to a degree, pride themselves behind doing all those things and those gender role type things where you're not teaching your son to be independent in all areas in life so they can transition. I think when we teach and equip them to be independent and prepare them, giving them different responsibilities, that does keep them from getting out the house or off to college or graduating high school, and the next thing that they feel should come is that mate. Have I need a woman, because my mom coddled me all the way up through the age of 18. Now I need a woman to come that's gonna come treat me like that, or things of that nature. And they're not ready. Young girls are not ready. But I feel those who are more independent and taught to, take care of the home to a certain degree, take care of themselves, take care of their health, take care of their finances. They are wiser about making that connection. They don't feel the need to lean into someone else to feel whole, at 19, 20, and 21 years old. Relationships are going to happen. Yes. I mean, that's the human nature. We're going to link up and someone is going to pique your interest, but it's not going to feel like this is missing in my life and I got to have
You
that.
gotta rush. You gotta rush to do it because you're missing this part of you're missing this portion of your life. Yeah,
Right.
if you have those stuff that are planted in you, and it helps you to make wiser decisions. You know, it helps you to make wiser decisions, and you see things just a little bit more clearly.
You
You know,
do.
once you have it's like taking a test, but you're not given all the information. How are you going to pass the test? If you have all the information when you take the test, you'll be able to pass it.
Right.
So you need all the information and all the variables, and then you can make a better decision in life.
So, Sean, if you could sit down with your 18-year-old self today, what three pieces of advice would you give him about faith, money, relationships, purpose, and building a successful life?
Okay, starting off with faith. My younger self. Let's leave faith for last and come back to faith.
Okay.
Money. I would say start, and I always was a saver. But I think I would want to, if I had gotten more information about stocks and bonds earlier, and 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 dabbling in stocks and bonds earlier would be for me. I was always a good saver. Always knew how to, and it came from my mom, how to make $1 to 50 cents, how to put aside, and I was taught to pay cash for certain stuff. Don't go and credit. Uh, Coming here to America, uh, someone told me, and I kind of, an older guy told me, and I kind of took it. I took it and really focus into it. My credit score, you know, knowing your credit score and building a good credit score, uh, definitely that comes along with the money part of it. Uh, relationships, relationships can make you or break you. The good relationships is worth more than money. If you have people in your life that really care about you, and not so much as, and sometimes it might just be the point where you have people who are praying for you. You know, many a days I've got a call from a friend at home, and she'd say, "I'm praying for you," and that meant the world to me. So having those solid, firm relationships that you know is worth more than money. I have adopted parents here, and they live in Shreveport. We just went down to Shreveport and celebrate Pa's 97th birthday, and he's a priest. I mean, a pastor. And my wife's have an adopted family here as well because she is from Florida. So those relationships for us mean they're worth more than money to us, more than gold. Having the right relationship, purpose, finding your purpose, and sometimes some older people in their 40s and 50s don't know their purpose. So I would say work hard on I wouldn't say finding your purpose, but being purposeful in terms of stuff that you do, and that will lead you to your purpose if you're purposeful. And that might, when I say that, being on time, being kind, being respectful, all of that helps you in terms of getting to your purpose. Because of that, someone might come in and pull you aside and say, "Hey, let me show you how to do this. Or let me show you how to do that." And that might be a career. You know, uh, and a career is more than a job. A career, you know, can feed you for your lifetime. We always tell our kids to go to college and get a good education. I would tell my kid that, but also I would tell my kid, I want you to have a career. I want you to know how to do plumbing, electrician, something that you can do with your hands, something that, or even just being able to come on a podcast and speak and share your opinion, you know, that can feed you for your lifetime. And it goes back to those relationships that you build those relationships, and you build those relationships early. Uh, we would say in the Bahamas, good morning and good evening breaks up no friendships, but the friendships that you make can carry you a long way. Uh, let's go to faith. My faith is what kind of have me to work to the point that I'm at. I was raised in a home. I was blessed to be raised in a home with a mother and a father who took us to church. Who not just took us to church, but every morning we had to pray at 6 o'clock. And for whatever reason, if I'm really really sleepy at 6 o'clock in the morning, for some reason, my mom would have me lead the devotion, and that'd wake you up real quick. But but that's my faith base, and then my church home, St. Agnes, uh, where everyone knew everyone, and people took care of you, uh, and being a leader in our youth group, being a singer in our choir. Uh, that's where I got my solace. That's why I love I love it. I'm at peace at church. I'm at peace when I'm at church. Uh, love my church home growing up. Love my church home here, uh, and getting closer to God. Because having a church home, but knowing God for yourself is something different as well. It got me to tune in and to tap into to being able to pray and talk to Him. Being far away from home, being from Bahamas and being in Texas, many a days I had to look up and say, "Hey, I can't do this, or you got to help me through this one. I don't know what's going on, but I can't call home. I ain't close to home, but I need you."
Yeah.
And so that's why my faith came in. I was so blessed as a teenager to have young men, uh, older men who mentored me in a Spark group. So being, prayer meeting every Thursday with these men, and so that helped me to kind of find me and to tap into my relationship with JC. Uh, faith is important, and you don't see it now. You don't know about it, but in the still or in a dark night or when trouble rolls around, he's gonna be right there. So it's vital to have that faith base in your life, and if you don't have it, it's a process. You know, being a Christian is a process. Every day ain't gonna be easy, but it's a daily walk. It's a daily walk that we take, and then uh, success in life. You know, life is not easy, and you will fall. You will get bloody. You will get bruised, but he ain't leave you. He ain't brought you this far to leave you. And if you just kind of hold on and keep on doing what you're doing in terms of trying to get closer to him, uh, you're going to be successful. And you may not see the success in your life here, but we're all pilgrims passing through this thing called life. And if you don't see it here, you'll see it on the other side. Because what we do for Christ is going to last. And everything you do now, you may not see a reward. You may not see, the glamour and the glitter. But if you just wait a little while, you know, you'll see it on the other side because joy definitely comes in the morning. Success is measured by a lot of different things, by a lot of different people. And so you got to kind of write down what you want in your life and then strive for it. And uh, you sometimes you'll hit it, and then sometimes if you're a Christian like like us, we'll say, "Hey, God, I want $1 million. I need to laugh because He's like, my child, I got $100 million set up for you. I just want to give you 1 million. I want to give you 100 million, but we got to follow Him. We we take our eyes off the prize sometimes, and we only see the million. We don't see the 100 million. And then two, money and fame and fortune, that's on this side. What are we doing for the next side? So I would say, life success, you'll have to decide that for yourself. But for me and for mine, you know, I think I'm successful. Uh, I think there's more that I can get. There's more than I can achieve. But I'm happy. I'm alive. My bills are paid. You know, I got health and I got strength, and I'm working towards the mark of the higher calling. So that's me in a nutshell.
Well, what you've shared this evening, Sean, has been very valuable. Thank you so much for bringing your knowledge, your wisdom, your life experiences to this platform and sharing with our audience things you wish someone had told you as a young man. And my prayer is that this message and this podcast reaches the homes and reaches the devices of young men who will take time to listen to what you had to share. And to parents as well, because you dropped some great nuggets and some reminders and some eye opening things that we seem to gloss over as parents, as mothers, as fathers, things that we can do to help make sure that we are preparing our young boys to grow into young men, and to young adults. And so I want to thank you again. It has been a pleasure listening and sharing this space with you. I look forward to having you on in the future. So I'm already, volunteering you. This is what we're gonna have you back.
Well,
So just look for
I
that.
often I often say I'm just a servant. So whenever you need me, just call on me. I am here for you and for Coach Deborah and building your best life.
Well, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate you, and thank you to the audience, the viewers who stuck around and listened to this whole podcast. You guys were so loving and giving your feedback in the chat. Coach Deborah said outstanding and candid information, and they were just plugging away in the chat because you were really dropping some valuable nuggets. So thank you again. Thank you to our viewers for tuning in. We love and appreciate each of you for taking your time out this evening to plug in with us here on Blueprint for Success. We go live every Tuesday at 6:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Central Standard Time. And we have another podcast for you viewers on Thursdays as well, at the same time. So thank you again. Each of you be blessed. Sean, have a great evening. I look forward to meeting with you again.
All right, you too.